Hello, my name is Daryl Foster, president of Las Positas College, and we support Black student success.
Hello, I'm Kristen Clark, chancellor of the West Hills Community College District, and West Hills supports Black student success.
I'm Barry Gribbins, president of Los Angeles Valley College. We support Black student success at Valley.
Hello, my name is Dr. Catherine Jeffrey. I am superintendent president of Santa Monica College, and I support Black Student Success Week.
Hello, my name is Dr. Mark Sanchez, and I'm the superintendent president of Southwestern College here in Chula Vista, California. And it's important for us to acknowledge that we support Black student success. Our team has developed a week-long program that aligns with the state's programming on Black Student Success Week. And we are committed to creating a campus culture that's welcoming for Black students in our Black community. So thank you for having me as a part of this introductory video. It's great to be here, and we hope it's a wonderful week for everyone throughout the state.
My name's Tamil Gilkerson, and I'm the proud president of Evergreen Valley College, and we're committed to Black excellence. Happy Black Student Success Week.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever y'all at. Welcome to the Blackest Blackity Black Hour. Today is Thursday, April 27th, and we are focused on programming for Black student success. I am one of your co-hosts, Abdulmalik Bull, visiting executive at the Chancellor's Office, and I've got my phenomenal colleagues with me, Katrina Linden from the Campaign for College Opportunity, and Dr. Dean Eric Handy. And we're excited today because you heard about progressive policy. You heard about the advocacy. You heard about the budgeting. You heard about the politics. You witnessed the testimonies of our students. But today, you heard from our college presidents. But today, you get to hear from the practitioners. We are talking to the people in the trenches, making all of that advocacy, all of that budgetary decisions, all the curriculum implications, doing the necessary work at the grassroots level. And I'm excited today to welcome you all to the practitioner portal. So lace up your boots, get your coffee. If you're having your 2 p.m., 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock hit, the itis is not going to hit you today because we got the dopest practitioners in the system. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Katrina Linden to kick us off. Katrina?
Oops. All right, now I'm muted. Thank you, Dr. Bull. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. I'm really excited for this conversation. Just like to remind you again, if you missed any of the Black Hour webinars, we will have a visual illustrative summary detailing what was covered each day. You can find this on our Linktree website, on our Instagram, and our social media on Twitter as well. Where you can stay up to date on news, briefs, policy agendas, and go back and revisit our Black Hour webinars from throughout the week or through the last couple of years. You can also join our YouTube page as well as our Linktree. But first, want to say a thank you to all of our gold level sponsors, our silver sponsors who made this week possible, made all the amazing programming you're seeing today possible. So thank you to all of our sponsors. And just a reminder, tomorrow we'll have a surprise announcement, which you won't be disappointed about. If you tune into tomorrow's webinar, have a really amazing closeout conversation plan. So please tune in and get ready for an exciting close to our Black Student Success Week. Don't forget to follow us on social media. And if you're posting about this webinar or any other webinars you've engaged in, make sure to tag them, hashtag the Black Hour, hashtag Black Student Success, and follow us on Twitter or Instagram at California Black Students. And if you look at our name tags today, my handle is in my name. So feel free to tag anybody who you're listening to today on social media as you hear the great things they have to say. Next, I want to thank Uber Eats for our partnership for this week and want to shout out our winner for today's gift card, and that is Deuce Graciela. So claim your award and we'll send that your way. If you want to join the giveaway, follow us at CA Black Students, register for our webinars, and use the hashtag Black Student Success Week. And finally, don't forget to purchase your swag. Thank you so much Three Kings Lifestyle. And you can check out my camo sweatshirt today. So be sure to get your order in before they close out for the week. And finally, leading us into our agenda. Today's agenda is a panel discussion. Student services are so important for Black student success, and we have a star-studded panel of a number of counselors and faculty and folks who are doing amazing work on the ground to share more about their experiences. And we'll go over a toolkit that'll give you actionable tools to engage and support your students on your campuses. So with that, I will introduce or pass it back to Dr. Handy and Dr. Bull to lead us in this conversation. Thank you all.
Thank you, Katrina. Thank you so much. Well, you know, I'm from Southern California, you know what I mean? San Diego, SoCal, 70 degrees year round. And we have some of the phenomenal talent representing Southern California. So first up is Dr. Erin Charlins from San Diego City College. She's actually my mentor, someone I respect a lot. She's the Moja coordinator. And also the former Moja student and sat on the Moja board. So the legendary Dr. Erin Charlins. We also got Rashid Aiden. He's representing San Diego City College as well for the HUBU program, which is a Black and brown male program. Also a legend out here in the San Diego streets. We have Dr. Elliot Coney representing LA, crip walking on stage from LA Valley College, Black Scholars Coordinator and Moja Coordinator as well over there. We got Antonio Banks straight out of Compton, you know what I mean? Director of Black Male and Color of Success. And then wrapping up the Southern California branch, we got Ebony Tyree, the Princess of Pedagogy, phenomenal English faculty out here at San Diego City College. And I'm gonna turn over to Dr. Eric Handy to give us some NorCal Bay Area love.
Hey, shout out my boy, Dr. Bull. I appreciate that. But you know, I'm representing that yay area. I'm representing the Northern California. Shout out to all them Golden State Warrior fans. You know what it is. I want to first bring in my homegirl, my partner, a community activist representing Las Positas College. Shout out LPC, I see you. And a Moja English faculty, Keisha Casada Turner. Then also we got representing the Monterey Peninsula College. He's an admin charter advisor, Elroy Garden Hire III. The Bay Area, the North Bay is in the building. And today we have a group of practitioners who are going to talk about some of their work, and we're just going to hop right into it. So I'm just going to pose the first question to our panelists. Tell us a little bit about your role at your institution and how in that role are you working to promote and or support Black student success? Don't be shy now. Hop on in. Don't be shy now.
Well, I guess I can jump in from Monterey Peninsula College. Like I said, my name is Elroy Garden. I'm the coordinator for our Amen Charter, acting coordinator for our Moja program, and the advisor for the Black Student Union. I guess it comes down to keeping everything going. It's all about the melanin. Just making sure our students are supported and knowing what the resources are and making sure we get them there.
My name is Erin. I'm the counselor and original counselor and coordinator at San Diego City College. Started this program along with some of my colleagues, 16 years strong. So as a counselor coordinator and also professor, my role really is to be an advocate for the students. Of course, I'm teaching them transfer resources, holding space for them as a counselor, teach them about the nervous system, about boundaries, about college success, all of that. Just be in a place where they know they can be seen, supported, and loved.
I love that. Who else want to jump in here? Tell us your role at your institution and how in that role are you supporting Black student success?
Most definitely. I'll hop in here. So again, Antonio Banks, I work at Compton College as the director for the Black and Males of Color Success Initiative. Essentially, this is a role that was established by our president, Dr. Keith Curry, as he wanted to make an institutional change and rewiring the thinking as it pertains to Black student success. And so in my role, I have the opportunity to sit on a lot of different committees and boards and really talk about and bring to the forefront the issues that Black students face and really how we continue to make it an institutional priority. So I have a direct line to a lot of folks who make things happen on our campus, but then I also have our student engagement piece where we focus on cultural enrichment for our students, culturally responsive academic strategies for success and transfer and professional life beyond here at the college. And also, like Dr. Charles talked about, just that personal wellness and things like that. So really unique role. Hopefully it is going to take fire and spread across the state. But we really need to have a seat at the table as it pertains to all facets of the institution.
Thank you, Dr. Banks. And yes, that role is very unique and one of its kind, and something that we hope to see scale throughout the state. Dr. Coney, jump in here. Tell us kind of what do you do with the institution and how are you supporting Black student success?
Thank you, Brother Handy. I'm Dr. Elliot Coney, Counselor and Coordinator for the LA Valley College Emotional Black Scholars Program here in the Van Nuys Valley Glen area of Northwest LA County. I am simply a hope dealer. My job is to deal hope for the students, and I work across various departments, various groups on our campus, as well as our community, just to remain a connector to bring access and success for the greater public, as well as the students on our campus. We work very closely with, several organizations, as well as several colleges such as CSUN and UCLA, VIPS, and CCTP. And I'm just here to remain a glue. I'm also faculty in our counseling division, where I teach a counseling 20 course for professional and career development. And, I'm really just the one-man army here, making it happen for our students.
Love that. Love that. And let's go one more. Dr. Savage, are you here? No.
I could hop in here real quick.
Okay.
Bismillah. Since we're doing shout outs first, I just want to thank the folks who put this effort together, right? I think this is really impactful year on. This is my third or fourth year doing this, and you can tell by the number of participants and the buzz afterwards. So I just want to shout out the folks who are putting this together. My name is Rashid Adhan from San Diego City College. My role is a faculty member. I'm a counselor. I also coordinate the HUBU program. For those of you who don't know what HUBU is or what we do, it stands for Hermanos Unidos, Brothers United. It's a program that long predates my tenure, right? And I want to emphasize long because that's a subtle dig at Dr. Savage, who is actually the person who started this initiative. It's an initiative that began as a regional effort to support men of color. And really at San Diego City College, that's Black men and Latino men, okay? It started off as, like I said, a regional effort, really through conferences. And the idea was to help these students who are coming to our campus, right? Because we are an open access institution, but they're not making it out. And so we wanted them to connect with faculty, staff, administrators who look like them. Because the research shows, I'm sure everyone in here is familiar with the research, but it shows that these students, Black, Latino males, face unique challenges in higher ed. And so we wanted to create a program that addressed these challenges and provide them with the support. So that's a little snippet of what I do. I'll share a little bit more as we get on to the next questions, but thank you for inviting me.
I appreciate that. And with that, I want to kind of tag along that asset approach, not the deficit, but the asset approach to the work that we do. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Professor Tyree. If you can tell us one major program accomplishment or event that you want to kind of highlight in your experience for all the folks that are listening today, what would that be?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Professor Ebony Tyree, and I work with Dr. Charlins. So my role is to support Dr. Charlins. I just do what she asks me to do. But one particular event that I think I'm very proud of, and it's really because it's student driven and it was curated by the students, is our Black History Month event, Black Film Friday. We started Black Film Friday several years ago with Mimi Turner, who's worked with Umoja throughout the years and with our program. She had a vision, and that is something that's just stuck and continued. Our students just did a Black Film. It's not Black History Month, but they just did a Black Film Friday last week. And it's a moment where we come together, we watch films. The students get to choose what they want to watch, and then we have discussion afterwards. And so what I think established community, but it's also an opportunity to engage in dialogue. The campus is invited. right? Flex credit, faculty, administrator, staff. It's something that all students can participate in. And it was motivated and created by our Black students on campus. So I'm really, really proud of that particular event at San Diego City College. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Engaging the whole educational ecosystem. I love that. You know, my lighting's it's kind of crafted, you know, making me look, you know, extra.
Yeah,
but
you're looking real light.
Yeah, I'm looking real light. But you know, I'm gonna turn it over, you know, to Professor Keisha. She got the natural glow. I got the, you know, the orchestrated glow. So Professor Turner, can you let us know one major program accomplishment that you'd like to highlight?
In the summertime, though, I change colors. Let me just say that. What's up, everybody? I want to first give a shout out to the Black Cultural Resource Center on my campus, who I know is streaming this, and everybody at Las Positas. And thank you for the Bay Area representation. I'm gonna name two. All right. First is just the day-to-day as a major accomplishment, right? I'm a former Umoja co-coordinator here on my campus, but we like built that thing from the start, right? And so the day-to-day, the recruiting, the marketing, the supporting students, making this campus a place where they can not just succeed but thrive and make it their own. That's the major accomplishment. That's major accomplishment number one. But number two, right? Making this a place where they can, they can thrive. So similar to Professor Tyree, the students here created this thing called woke shops, not workshops, but woke shops, right? Where they were having deep conversations that they wanted to have with other Black students mostly, right? About just issues within our community, colorism, Black love, LGBTQ plus, fam who are, African American, right? Like all of these, conversations that were student driven. They even developed a recipe for how to have a workshop and shared it with other folks at, Umoja conferences. So I'm really proud because that's students taking ownership of this campus. They're making it their own. They're telling, us what they're interested in learning, and they, student driven. I'm just here to support y'all. Let me get these keys and open this door for y'all. Let me print these things for y'all. What do you need? I'll go pick up that pizza. All right. So those are the two major accomplishments in our campus.
I love that woke shop, and I love the philosophy y'all got going here. Sometimes we just got to get out the way. They got the juice, get out the way. And speaking of woke, something that's waking me up is that beautiful yellow beanie that Dr. Coney got. I'm gonna go over to you. Why don't you tell us about some type of program accomplishment that you got going on that you'd like to highlight?
Thank you, my good brother. So yes, I think the growth of our program has been great since 2018, since our inception, and becoming an affiliate of the Umoja program statewide. We've had several events, several activities, and several programs that have been a success. I do want to say though, with my mentions of these programs I'm going to mention is that programming is great, but it's the sizzle, not the steak. Some to the points of what Keisha just mentioned, we want to make sure that we're programming with the intent of reaching our intended outcomes and goals. So I think that while these events are amazing by the standards of our college and our community, events alone do not keep students enrolled in class. Events alone do not ensure that students pass their classes, persist to second year, graduate, and transfer. So we want to make sure that though we're talking about programming, I want us to understand that we need to talk about programming to a particular end. So with that stated, I think that the biggest event that we've had a number of them. And just like the shout outs, I want to make sure that I shout out my phenomenal LACCD Umoja coordinators, specifically my partner in crime, Dr. Clinton McLean at Pierce College. We really rap hard for the Valley. And all of my other coordinators across our actual system as well. I also want to shout out other coordinators in the system that don't get the recognition, but are doing amazing work at Norco, at Mission College, Santa Clara, as well as Antelope Valley and Bakersfield as well. These are programs that I lean on social media wise to see what they're doing, because this is a competitive space and we want to make sure that we're doing our best practices and making it happen. Our biggest event that we had most recently was our Valley Young Black Scholars Day. We did that this most recent Black History Month. We brought 300 local Black high school and middle school students to our campus. We partnered with NCRF, who puts on the San Diego and nationwide Black College Expos. We partnered with VIPS, we partnered with CSUN and a lot of our community partners to provide resource fairs and information and to help build our dual enrollment base as well as our feeder pipeline for our college. And if you know the Valley, it's a plus city with regard to our Black students and Black mass. So to have 300 students on our campus that typically feel isolated in our area was very big and probably one of my biggest accomplishments as a part of my program here. In addition to that, through collaboration, we've also had Chris Emden, we've had Ron Artest, Meta World Peace come in and talk about Black mental health. We recently had Iowa Davis who's the president of Disney Branded Television. So there's a lot of events that, again, we're looking at creating professional development experiences for our students, as well as some of the understanding of what it takes to, deal with some of the pull factors and issues that students face every day. So, those are the key pieces. But again, I just want to make sure that we understand programming is amazing, but understanding that we need to program. And I will leave this before I leave. Shout out to Professor Rob from San Diego City. He gave us the idea of the stats and English and study jams. It's been a real big success in helping students get through transfer level math in their first year for us. So I just want to say that that's what I mean by programming to an outcome, making sure that we increase our Black male transfer level mathematic completion in our first year. So that's been very big. So doing stuff with regard to success is definitely pivotal with regard to our continued journey and the work that we do here.
Dr. Coney took my other answer because that Dr. Rob is San Diego City College. So that's another event that we are very, very proud of, our math jams. That's right.
The math jam is legendary for sure. But I love the philosophy, man. Don't waste copy paste. You feel me? There's so much out there that folks are doing that you don't need to replicate. Lean on your partners. It's a competition, but we're competing to close the obligation gap. We're competing to make sure all our students win in our program. So I love that. I love that philosophy. I'm gonna throw it over to you, Dr. Banks. I see you got the lean. You got the leaning. You know what I mean? So why don't you let us know what's happening in Compton?
Most definitely. So as I talked about, this initiative is really an institutional lift. And one of the things that I'm really proud of that we were able to accomplish by way of multiple people in multiple departments working with us was a Summer Scholars Transfer Institute, where we took 25 students to Clark, Atlanta for a residential experience. And just to give you some of the context to that, it took people from all over our campus, from our institutional effectiveness office, like Dr. Lawrence Sasingo, our basic needs department, shout out to Liddell Willis, our transfer center. It took everybody in order to get this together, as well as our VP of Student Services, who did a lot of that negotiation. Shout out to Nicole Jones. To get that ready. And essentially what this was a 10-day opportunity for students to experience the HBCU life, right? And what I believe these programs should be about is exposure, right? And granted perspective. And so for a lot of our students, this was the first time that some of them had left LA County, let alone the state, right? And a lot of them got the opportunity to see what that HBCU life was like, what it was like to see themselves embedded and centered in the curriculum. It was a communications class that was infused by African-centered leadership. Big shout out to Dr. Chike Akua and Professor Yolanda West, who put that on for us. But, for a lot of them, they said, I never thought that I could see myself at a HBCU, and now I'm here, right? And so it granted a lot of motivation and aspirational capital to our students, right? But this wasn't an easy lift. It had to take the whole institution in order for this to be executed. One of the beautiful things about that opportunity was the fact that the students all acquired college credit for being there. So they all have an official Clark Atlanta University transcript, and they were paid to go to the trip. They all got $1,000 stipend. So letting them know that their time is valuable, right? And what they were able to do is come back and be conduits for more student leadership and more student success. In fact, a large portion of my student assistants who are also streaming this program right now in our library, Crystal, Shamika, Tamari, they started that leadership, the capital for leadership there, right? And they came back and they knew that they wanted to make a transformational change as student leaders on our campus. So just opportunities like that are critical to offer our students. But like our belief is, here at Compton, it has to be institutional lift. It can't be on the backs of one or two people because those backs will break. So it has to be coordination with everybody on campus.
Dr. Banks, That was beautiful, and I'm loving the engagement. And shout out to all the those watching. Keep putting those comments in the chat. Keep asking those questions in the Q&A. We're definitely going to be addressing and responding to that. I want to start with you, Dr. Charlins, on this next one. We heard Dr. Coney say, it's not about the sizzle, it's about the steak. And so programming with a purpose. Can you describe or name a major challenge that you faced when it comes to programming or supporting or working with our Black students? And what have you learned from that lesson or from that challenge?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Handy. What I'm sitting with right now is, the Black tax is real. We all know what that feels like. In fact, right before this, I just came from another event I was presenting at with my students for Black Student Success Week here on our campus. And I think about, I've been in this role 16 years, and I think about what I was doing 16 years ago and how that role has evolved so much with similar resources that I had 16 years ago. And so, but our students need more and they deserve more. So we've been doing all the things with a similar amount of resources. So that tax is very much on us. And so one of my roles is, as a counselor, professor, and coordinator, is to have a regulated enough nervous system so that I can show up to the space and see and hear and support and challenge my students. And so when I'm at capacity, over capacity, when I'm under-resourced, physiologically, I just show up different. That's the reality of how our bodies work. So I show up different, and our students deserve better than that. And so the challenge is being under-resourced. I'm talking about being under-resourced, not just financially, not just in terms of we don't have the staffing we need, but in my body, I'm under-resourced. I'm still going to do the work, but I'm under-resourced. And I'm going to be honest with you, there are days when I'm showing up raggedy, trying to fake it. And my students know, because that's how our nervous systems work. They know what I'm bringing to the table. So it's the challenge, and we're facing it. We've been fighting for more resources. We've gotten, a technician. There's more that we need. But we support each other in this space. I'm fortunate to work with Professor Tyree, Dr. Rob. We have an amazing team, and we just support each other. And that's how we get through it. We're back on Monday doing the same thing all over again.
Aaron, that was the Black tax and under-resourced emotionally, right? That's real. And a lot of times not talked about in our performance reviews and our program evaluations, and not talked about in support groups or affinity groups on campus, and the need for Black faculty and staff also to have affinity groups on campus. And so, no, this is very real. Keish, I want to bring this same question to you, because now we're getting really into the meat and potatoes, or for my vegetarians, we get into the rice and the beans of the conversation, right? We really are talking about hitting the hammerhead on the nail. So talk about kind of what's been a major challenge in the work that you've been doing, trying to support Black students, or just support other Black staff and faculty, and a lesson that you've learned having to navigate that challenge?
I mean, mine is very similar to Dr. Charlin's. I mean, 16 years for you, I'm like 1/5 of that. I'm a former Umoja coordinator for a reason, and that was because I needed to step down and to, just take care of myself, and so very similar challenges. And I think, one of the lessons that I learned as a result is building a network. And I think that my campus has done a really good job of building what we call the Black Educators Association, where we're able to lean on one another and to delegate, to feel supported. It feels very familial here on campus, right? So it's not as taxing or scary to go and ask an administrator, hey, I need, this resource or that resource. The answer might still be no, but it's not, the stress isn't there. We could grow. We could always grow. I'm one of 2 Black instructors in my department. And I have a feeling that if my other, faculty members who are part of that BEA were here, they might say, yeah, I'm one of my department too. So we could always grow, right? Because You know, when I get burnt out and when I'm taxed, right, at least there's one other person, you know what I'm saying, who can culturally represent for an Umoja program here, right? But what happens when, you know, she needs a break, right? And I'm not ready yet. So it's really, it makes me mad, and it's unfortunate. Like the resources are so small. That's really disappointing, right? And sure, we have, you know, white allies and white accomplices, right? But like, you know, I think there's something different about having, you know, black teachers and black coordinators for black programs, right? And so there's a cultural bonding, there's a linguistic bonding that happens, shared experience. And so I would say lean on that network, build that network. This all highlights the importance of, like, you know, who you hire also. So that's where I'm at.
Elroy, let's bring this to you. So we're hearing the importance of Black faculty and staff networks and affinity groups that are, and we didn't say this, but I'm going to say it, that are institutionalized and supported by the campus. In other words, they have a budget stream, they have opportunity to do PD, they have opportunity for reassignment time to coordinate those events. They're strategically, these affinity groups are folded into equity plans and master plans. So we're hearing the importance and hiring more Black faculty and staff, so there's actually just more numbers for us to do the work. So we hear the importance of that being a challenge to this work. But for you, Elroy, what is the challenge that you faced, and how have you navigated that challenge? What's some lessons you've learned doing this work?
Well, you know, first of all, you know, thank you for having here and, you know, being on this amazing panel. But, you know, I'm classified staff. So, but not saying it's obviously, and I understand, I'm not invited to a lot of the tables. And not only having these different roles, I still have another role. I mean, technically, I am hired as the assessment coordinator here in NPC. So how do I work to try to balance this? You know, as far as the release time, I mean, in at the end of the day, it's even as far as the money factor. You know, I have a daughter off in college, and, you know, I had to take a part-time job to take care of her, but still give my time to the programs that we're affiliated with. So at the end of the day, we just try to make it where, you know, and I realize, you know, burnout is real. I'm kind of new to this, but, you know, when you're trying to coordinate something through the week, and, you know, you're still trying to get your students out in the community, because we volunteer on Saturdays out in the community. So to put our students in a position where they're looking at someone in middle school and elementary school and not wanting to, you know, it's the light of fire in them, not wanting to disappoint those students by doing the things they can do at their in their classes. So we get that connection piece, but trying to work with the school to find a balance of the time, and, you know, trying to figure out, honestly, as classified, is it worth it? Is it worth giving up time? Is it worth lost income in order to support what we do? And, you know, I talk with Stan all the time. I talk to Dr. Banks on a constant, emailing him for advice, and, you know, just trying to figure it out, to not to lose myself. And like I said, I'm new to education, and not to lose myself in this by saying what's fair and what's not fair. I mean, at this point, I can say, you know, NPC has done me justice, but as we reach out and we try to build a bigger foundation and put all the programmable pieces in with our students, when does it reach a point where it's unequitable for me? And trying to figure that out is a day-to-day battle. And the only thing I can say is, you know, especially with Amen having individuals to lean on and individual talk about, is really at the end of the day, you know, why I'm in these spots. I go to the Amen conference every year, and honestly, you know, we always want to say, oh, you know, you go off and you get rejuvenated, but it's true. It's true. It makes us understand why we do the work that we do. And, you know, this year we have a lot of amazing Amen students that's going to graduate this year. And honestly, a year ago, they wouldn't have made it. They wouldn't have made it without that foundational piece. They wouldn't have made it without the conference. They wouldn't have made it without the community outreach, because they finally realized, you know, there's a lot of things going on in the world that's bigger than them, and they know they had to be a part of it, and they knew they had to make a change. Every time I meet with them, I tell them, you know what, y'all got me 6 more months of employment, because without you, it wouldn't be me. And I take that as my charge, because it can't be about the money for any of us, because we wouldn't be here. And I just try to go along with that. But As Dr. Aaron said, the burnout is real. It is real. And I didn't realize it to 6-7 months in, and just trying to reach a point where we give them the best of ourselves so we won't cheat them because they need us. They need us bad. And we have to keep working at it. And, you know, these institutions need to realize without us, it's no them. And Dr. Curry came Monday, spoke to us because it's word of mouth. If my brother has a bad experience here, he's going to tell his cousins, his aunties, his uncles. And then what do they do from there? They're not going to come here. And we try to give our students a good experience because right now we have brothers, cousins, sisters, everybody come to NPC because of the foundation and the experience that we give their siblings because of the cultural relevance. We're not trying to compete with other programs. We just want to be complimentary to them. But yet, don't fight us thinking that we're guarding everything Black. Don't not talk to our students because you have them over there. We're not worried about you. Give them the same opportunities you give everybody else and just let us enhance that to get them to where they need to be. So that's how we look at it here. And I hope that this grows. I hope that we catch fire because, you know, we're here in the Central Coast. We don't have, you know, a lot of resources in San Diego, California. We're still trying to figure it out. But I can say our administration is heading in the right direction and that we hope we can get this taken care of.
Don't worry, Elroy, you got a lot of advocates, allies, and co-conspirators right now that's going to be hitting your line, checking in and tapping in. And before we move on, I just want to bring Rashid in here because you hit on something, Elroy, that I think is critical for us to hear and for it to be reverberated out. Okay, Dr. Coney wants to tag team too. So we'll go to Rashid and then Dr. Coney. But you said something that stayed with me. You said we wouldn't be here for the money because if so, all of us would leave. And you also mentioned that, you know, you felt as if sometimes
or the institutions would be broke.
Yeah,
overload overtime that I have to pay. I'm just keeping it
and
real.
You said you felt like sometimes the work is inequitable, right? And so my question to you, Rashid and Dr. Coney, but ask Rashid first is, in what moments have you felt like the work that you're doing is inequitable? And then how did you navigate that? How did you get through that feeling? And what advice would you give to somebody else who may be feeling that right now?
Great. That's a sort of a loaded question. I'm going to try to break it down with our limited time. First, I just want to echo and really validate some of the things that my colleagues have said, right? Burnout is real, and I can feel it through the Zoom session, right? And as great and unique as our programs are, they weren't designed to address these unintended consequences. They weren't designed to think about, well, in 6 years, when Aaron, right, is neck deep in Umoja, like how are we going to relieve her of some of the stress and this racial battle fatigue that she's feeling? And so I really want to echo that because, you know, your heart has to be in this work. That's the overall theme I'm hearing right now from that last question. And if your heart's not in it, students can tell. Students can tell from the first moment they meet you, right? And they can see through it. Before I get to the advice, I really wanted to touch on question number 3, which is the challenge. And this is really one that's been sitting with me ever since I got into this role. And I'm going to say it explicitly, right? I think we can be raw in this space. I think a challenge for me is seeing my non-Black colleagues not taking an explicit stance when it comes to supporting these students, our Black students in these Black programs. This type of effort, it sounds cliche because we've heard this so many times, but it really takes a village. And the reality is all of our students are not going to be with us 100% of the time, right? So what are they experiencing in other classrooms? What are they experiencing when they go to that financial aid office or they go into admissions or with our campus police? Dr. King, I think it was Dr. King who said there comes a time when silence is a betrayal. And so as a faculty member, as a student, as a staff member, when you're in the system, and you've been in the system for so long and you see silence, there's only one way for you to interpret it. So that's been an ongoing challenge, I think, for a lot of us. I don't want to speak just for myself. When a non-Black teacher or staff is actively harming our Black students, like who does this responsibility to hold them accountable fall on? Is it us? right? With our limited time and energy, do we focus on the students and their well-being, or are we spending our time on fighting this other battle? So I think it's really important to point that out, because because we're in these roles, I think sometimes there's an assumption that you're the end all be all of everything Black. Every Black battle, you're in it. There's a issue of racism across the hall. We got Rashid, Professor Ebony, Professor Charlins, Dr. Savage, Elliot, anybody. And so I think that's really important. A word of advice, if I can be succinct, is really find your team, find your community, and like set realistic goals. If your heart is in this work and the institution knows your heart is in it, they're going to get every ounce of blood from you, right? And so I think set realistic goals, be there. Like, you want to be your best self for the students, right? If you're not 100% there mentally, physically, your health is not there, it's going to be really difficult to support our students. So just really set realistic goals and find your support group on your campus.
For sure. Thank you for that, Brother Rashid. Feel free to turn on my Oscars music if I go over, because this is definitely a passionate space for me. So
don't worry, we got your music cued. Don't worry.
Because I could definitely belabor, but I think you have to look at it at multiple levels. The challenges, and I think that when you're in this work, you're looking at it from the minutia of just where you're at on the ground. But of course, my brother Bull talked a lot about system level thinking, and I think that the system is a part of the issue and the challenge, right? I think mainly the issue of equity is a challenge, because it's truly an abstract concept in our system. No one has the same definition of what equity is. And then when you talk about equity or racialized equity, the peanut gallery or people from the outskirts or the periphery, want to get into this equitable oppression Olympics, talking about other groups when we're talking about Black students. So that is an issue. I think that there's a pervasive amount of anti-Blackness in this space, and you can see it at all levels. And I don't have enough time to go into it, but it clearly is here. I think that it's very unique that you have some of our leading, Black subject matter experts who are presidents in this space, and they can be unapologetically, authentically who they are in the system of like a Moja work or a MIND work or a coalition work, but on their campus, they can't truly be that. So again, you have to ask the question, why does that exist, right? That has to be a level of anti-Blackness when we're using the word strategy as a proxy for watering down who we are. I think that is a big space. And I think that authentic Blackness is also weaponized, which is also a problem in our space. And I think the inauthentic allyship, we have my good brother and mentor, San Diego State, Dr. Wood, come on and talk about inauthentic allyship. This concept of equity for all is really truly no equity at all, right? And then we have to really look at how we're financially supporting our programs, how we're, looking at these issues and the needs of our students, and allowing the people that we bring there to do this work truly advocate for that pocket of students. I think that the lack of representation is critical. And I think this is really the biggest portion of the issue, because if you're not at the table, as my brother Bull said on day one, you're on the menu. And I think that Black success has been on the menu for far too long. We see that with this travel ban currently, right? I mean, literally, we have some of the smartest people in our system that rightfully are looking to protect a population of discrimination. But as an alum of the illustrious Hampton University, I do take issue with the fact that we're now prioritizing the group's issue of discrimination against the basic group of being able to go to these colleges, when the inception of Black colleges was based on that very definition of discrimination that we're using to stop students from going to, see these colleges. I think you look at party registration for Black programs, we're prioritizing athletes over Black success. Athletes can have party registration, but you look at Moja programs, most of us don't have it. And we wonder why we don't have any persistence from, spring to fall. These are like common things that we can look at, with a microscope or a bigger lens to understand like where the issues truly are. I think that reasonable infrastructure and bandwidth has kind of already been covered. There isn't enough of us. I'm a one-man army right now. We do have an advisory who does a lot of amazing work, but on the day-to-day work, I teach, I coordinate, I administrate. Like, there's a lot that goes on, and I am only one person, and I have to see drop-in students on top of appointments and then try to get all the stuff done that we need for our programs. Lastly, I'm going to say the attrition and succession issue is a major issue. I've had about 4 administrators in 2 years. And then, so therefore, when we talk about getting headway and an agenda started with one individual, now this process changes because new people come in. So how can you sustain efforts when administrators are only here for a minute, if at best, you know? So, and we don't have enough critical mass to have Black faculty to lift the work because there truly are not enough of us in this system. And we're already inundated with other tasks. So they were just doing duty as an additional duty assigned. And if I can give any advice, I think that it'll go back to, you know, something that I posted on IG just recently, which is by, you know, George Bernard Shaw. And it states that the reasonable man adapts himself to the world and the unreasonable one persists to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. So my advice to you, all of you in this work of Black success, is stay unreasonable. For our students, remain unreasonable, because Black success is not safe in the system. And in the words of YG, because, you know, I grew up on gang culture, as my brother Bull said earlier, stay dangerous, period. They're gonna come for you, do your work, make it visible, and make your program too big to fail. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
And I appreciate that. I think dangerous in an unsafe environment is safe. It's safety. If you really look at it, going against the grain, being dangerous in an unsafe environment is actually being safe. So with that being said, I want to kind of flip it to an asset approach. And you hit it on, Rashid and Dr. Coney, and really, I think Elroy kind of mentioned this. The roles in which you play and you lead as program coordinators, as faculty, as Dr. Aaron Charles mentioned, the Black tax, the job description, and then the duty is another thing. You're an auntie, you're an uncle, you're a cousin, you're a mommy, you daddy, you're filling voids in families, and you're coach, you're crisis counselor. So when they look at that which I call the plantation clause, all other duties as assigned, they really truly mean all other duties as assigned. So we're one of the few programs working with Black folks that actually is a visible marker in your job description, all other duties as assigned. And so for many of you, this is not just hard work, it's hard work. It's not a career or a passion, this is a calling. You gotta love Black folks to work with Black folks and our students. And so if I'm a new coordinator coming up, or I'm just a coordinator right now needing some IV, that banana, you know, IV, some juice right now for Black Student Success Week, listen to you progressive practitioners, what is one piece of advice you would leave me with? And I'm gonna start with you, Dr. Banks. We'll close out with you, Dr. Charles.
Most definitely. I think one of the biggest pieces, it was hit on by Brother Rashid and other folks earlier, but finding your community both on your campus, but also off campus. I think one of the biggest pieces of being in the minutia of the work is sometimes you could feel like you're the only one. But when I reach out to Dr. Coney or Elroy or, you know, Bull or whatever the case may be, I might see that the same things might be happening in some capacity on their campus, right? And that gives me a little bit more juice to continue to fight and continue going. So continue to build community across the state, across institutions, across types of institutions, but also remember your why, and also don't let the system compromise you. You have to be willing to know when it's time to hold them or when to fold them, right? But also make sure that you show up for your students as much as you can. They recognize and they'll give you that energy too. My students give me so much energy and so much strength in times when I'm like, yo, I'm ready to bow out for a second, but they'll lift you up because they know that you're trying to fight the fight. So that energy is circular. You give it to them and they'll give it right back to you. So continue to try to give it your all, but also like Dr. Charles was talking about, I think understanding and setting those boundaries is going to be critical for longevity as a new administrator or advisor or whatever the case may be, because they need you for the long haul, but you need yourself more. And you can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to learn how to set those boundaries, take self-care really seriously. My president, I know he's probably on here somewhere, but I keep telling him all the time that he needs to work on that because we need, you know, leaders like that. But you got to practice self-care so that you can pour into others. And if you can build that into your regimen early on, you'll be better off for yourself and for the students that we serve.
Absolutely. You cannot operate on E. All right. Speaking of E, Dr. Tyree, Ebony, What you got for us?
I love what Dr. Coney said about staying unreasonable, because I know I'll be over here always unreasonable. I'd be like, oh, here come Tyree. But you know what? I love every bit of it. That's what I said in the chat. I think it's what motivates me are my students. Just today, and Dr. Tron, she gets this too. I get hit up by, I don't know if he jumped on or not, but Levi, just out of nowhere. What's up, auntie? You know, just and it feeds me. That's what I like. I love hearing from my students, whether they need something, whether they struggling, personal lives, they have my cell phone number. And it doesn't matter what time it is or what's going on. And they know sometimes it might take me a day or two because I'm dealing with over here. But I just love the connection that I have with my students. That's what keeps me going. You know, I was once a student and the odds were stacked against me. And I think about the people along the way that did small things to help me. And I'm telling you, I get emotional thinking about it because I would not be where I was if those people didn't care. So every student I encounter that I see me, that's me. That's that little girl, Ebony, that didn't know what she was doing in college, trying to navigate, right? And I think about Mr. Austin at USD and just all like Pam and all these people that come to mind that are still in my phone today that I reach out to. That's what keeps me motivated because somebody did it for me. So I have to return them. So that when I come, you know, people say, oh, you vying for your program. You just sit here because you just care about. No, I care about my people. That's what I care about because I know the struggle. Somebody else also asked in the chat, I want to address, they said, how do you help all students? Because we're talking about our programs. I want at San Diego City College, Umoja is a culture. Umoja is not just this little program. All the Black students like, Umoja, where's Umoja? They come into our center, any student, and they could be Umoja. We got so many Umoja students. Aaron, Dr. Chalmers is like, how are we going to figure out how do we capture them? Do we have them sign something? Dr. Chalmers, right? We just had this conversation the other day. The students just roll in like, I want to be a part. They already, and they can. So we have several entryways into our program. It's not just through the learning community. They can join Umoja Club, which is also leadership, which then we found a process, Dr. Charlie, we've been working on refining this process to also give them access to everything the cohort comes into. Because it's usually 25 to 30 students. Now we've expanded that. We're trying to offer that to every student who walk in and say, I want to be Umoja. So create that culture on your campus is what I would say. Students hear and they know because people sit and they talk about it. I love all of my students like I love my Umoja students. My students watching now, it's not my Umoja class, but they on watching, they get Umoja love too. Every student gets Umoja love when they meet up with Dr. Tyree or, anyway, I don't have
on the Oprah. She on the Oprah. You get love. You get love. You get love. I'll get love.
Okay, music. You put the music on, but that's all. That's what I have to say.
Well, and we got to start using, the academy is so stale and dry. Man, love, grace. We got to start really, putting that an African philosophy. And I love the fact that you mentioned each one, reach one, each one, teach one. You're going back, she was given, you know what I mean? So I love that. Keisha got that lean on. I'm gonna come to you, rapid fire, and I'll hit you next, Elroy. Go ahead, Professor Turner.
Man, everything everybody just said, I'm just gonna co-sign it, right? But if I can actualize one thing, balance is one thing that I would advise, right? And to actualize that, I would say, try to have I'm kind of a nerd, so I kind of do a time schedule thing. Like I have hours, right? Or at least that I tried to do that, later in my coordinatorship. And it didn't always work. It was more of an intention than a strict thing. But trying to say, okay, I'm gonna sit down on Fridays from, this time to this time to work on whatever I need to work on, right? As a way to kind of actualize and balance my life and my needs with others. And one other thing that I want to point out what you were saying, Ebony, about just, the student love, right? That's the other side of the balance, right? Quick story, just yesterday, one of my Umoja students hit me up first talking about I just got my acceptance letter to UCLA. right? Like, but you told me before you told your parents. We've been talking about this. We've been motivating her and all of this stuff to get that first. That's the other side of that balance thing, right? It's very, very special to get like that love and that information and have that kind of relationship with a student. That's very special to me.
I love that. We're gonna go rapid fire. We got to bring in Dr. Savage to close us out. But Elroy, what you got for us, man? One quick shout out to a new incoming guy, Similac behind the ears coordinator, just hungry for the work. What you gonna hit him with? You on mute? You on mute?
I'm gonna go back to what Keisha said, because oftentimes they think students only come to us when they have issues. When they make that phone call and tell you they got accepted, or you do an event and they shouting you out, that's what it's about. That's what that love is. That's where they show that commitment and what you poured into them, that they know sometimes they got to pour it back into you. And like you said, that's the other side of the balance, because without them saying that to us, I don't know where we'll be right now. So yeah, so I appreciate that. And like I say, loving all our students, and I put mine in teams. So they all have a team leader. So if the team leader calls me, it must be an emergency. And then we just do it that way, because, you know, that teaching them that leadership skills and letting them know how they understand each other. And going back to porch talk, hey, everybody is everybody's business. We take care of one another. If nobody else will be take care of us, we'll take care of each other.
All right. Dr. Cohen got one sentence.
Yeah, I just want to say this to kind of encapsulate, like, Black success is truly a radical, revolutionary language of love. I just want to leave you with that. Like, it's truly a radical and revolutionary language of love. And it's the love you give in to these students as good as the love you would give to your child. That's it.
I love that. I'm gonna need y'all to stick around for 5 more minutes, because we got Dr. Savage coming up. Rashid, Dr. Charles, go ahead and close us out. Rashid, what's one advice to a coordinator?
You know, I think I did briefly mention it, but I think for us, it's going to sound kind of contradictory, but I love doing this work, right? This work doesn't seem like work to me a lot of the times, right? And I think that portion of it is working with our students. And so the other stuff is not the fun stuff, right? Having to deal with institutions and the red tape. So that my advice is really the same advice from earlier, which is really find your community, right? And I got to here because really folks in this room, right? And they know who they are, right? And those folks are the ones who have uplifted me, allowed me to be here. So find your community, embrace them, and really just reciprocate that support for whoever else is on your campus with you.
Love that. The boundaries on Dr. Childens.
Hey. So I would say build your program piece by sustainable piece. And our Black students, they want to see how Black professionals take care of themselves. Our students want to see us taking care of ourselves. So it's not just a want, it's a need. Yeah. Have a mentor, have a coach, have a therapist, older, younger, doesn't matter. We need to tap into all of it.
Brilliant. I mean, y'all hear the brilliance. Y'all hear that Black excellence personified here. Thank you all. Round of applause. Shout out, fire panel. And I'm gonna turn it over. Thank you again on behalf of Dr. Eric Handy and myself. We're gonna turn it over to Katrina and Dr. Savage to close us out.
So I guess I'll just jump in, since the panel was so amazing. Like, honestly, to see you, Ebony, get emotional. I mean, if you know who Ebony is, for her to get real like that is something special. And so I am not going to take up a lot of time. I just want to share with you that if you are interested in doing programming on your campus, specific to supporting Black students, we have a practitioner's toolkit, which you can access on our the Black Student Success Week Instagram. There's a link tree. Just click it. A lot of amazing resources in there to help get you started. There's information about other coordinators across the state who are also doing amazing work to support Black students. We have potential funding sources that you can use to support Black students. So if you're interested, just go to the Black Student Success Week Instagram again and click the link tree. Katrina?
Great. Thank you all so much. That was an awesome panel. I'm so glad we got to hear from so many amazing folks. And I think we have a few more slides we'll show y'all real quick. Please be sure to join us or scan here to see the toolkit that Dr. Savage just outlined for us. Leave it there for a second so y'all could snap a pic. Also see it on our link tree. And then don't forget to join us at 1:30 for the after party today. 1:30 to 2:30, scan that, also available in the chat and on our Instagram. And then of course, join us for the student hour at 5 p.m. on our basic needs workshop. And finally, thank you again to our planning group and everybody who's made this possible, including so many folks who are on our panel today. Really appreciate everything that y'all have put into this. And final note for me, thank you to everybody who's participating in today's Blackout Advocacy Day, meeting with our legislators from across the state. Don't forget to snap pics and post it on Instagram and Twitter as we take on the virtual Capitol to advocate for Black student success. But thank you everybody for joining us, and we hope to see you tomorrow for our special surprise session to close out the week. Thank you.